Hi, I'm Gene Sherrard. Welcome to our online feature, Seattle Now and Then 360. This week, join us for a visit to Black Diamond, where historian Kurt Armbruster gave us a preview of his latest book, Pacific Coast, Seattle's Own Railway. Here's the story. My great-grandfather, Arthur Manville Daly, arriving in Seattle in 1888, soon found work in the coal mines northeast of Renton. His sweetie, my future great-grandmother Agnes Johnson, was a schoolteacher in distant Ballard. Family lore tells of the arduous round trip from Newcastle to Ballard each Sunday, but for an ardent young suitor, a few hours of travel was a fair exchange for the weekly allotment of kisses. And yet, were it not for a 40-mile stretch of small, grimy, seemingly insignificant pioneer railway, asserts historian Kurt E. Armbruster in his colorful latest book, Pacific Coast, Seattle's Own Railway, my ancestors' romance, not to mention a growing young city's fortunes, might have been much dampened. From their arrival in 1851, early settlers knew that hopes for a profitable future rode an iron horse. Arthur Denny said he located on Puget Sound believing that a railway would be built across the continent to some point on the northern coast within 15 or 20 years. Over the next 2 decades, however, those expectations were dashed by a number of obstacles, including conflict with native peoples, slumps of the economy, and the U.S. Civil War. In 1873 came more bad news. To Seattle's dismay, the Northern Pacific Railroad sited the terminus of its cross-country line in Tacoma, leaving the Queen City isolated on her Elliott Bay throne. But as railroads languished in King County, another economic engine built up steam. Immense seams of coal, pushed up by the Seattle Fault, had been discovered by the mid-1850s, and the foothills east of Lake Washington soon became teeming hives of activity. In the 19th century, says Armbruster, coal was king, and Seattle had coal. Indeed, one of the largest coal fields on the West Coast. Vast shipments of black gold were readily snapped up by energy-hungry San Francisco to support its industry and transportation. But the convoluted Herculean transport from coal-face to waiting sailing ships in Elliott Bay took long days and cut deeply into profits. Seattle citizens, stung by the rebuff of big rail, conjured an ingenious solution: build a railway that incidentally provided King Coal with a profitable route to market. And on May 1st, 1874, thousands of eager Seattleites assembled to do just that. On that single day, a mile-long stretch of railbed was cleared along the base of Beacon Hill for the somewhat presumptuously named Seattle and Walla Walla Railway, eventually renamed the Pacific Coast Railway. In the end, rails that, although never extending much further east than Black Diamond, shortened the mine-to-dock transport from days to mere hours. As a result, Seattle and Grandpa Daly realized benefits that endured for decades to come. In our then photo, a Seattle-bound train boards passengers at the Black Diamond Depot in 1910. While these rails were mainly dedicated to transporting coal, in its heyday, 3 passenger trains a day made the trip to the big city.